Oh, well, that was a quick transition. All right, we're back. We did it. Yay. Hi, Bjorn.
Hey, how's everyone?
Excited. So, welcome to Next to the Floor, episode number 10, part 2.
Man, is it 10 already?
Yeah, I know. That means we've been doing this for, oh man, almost 20 weeks.
That's good
Almost
stuff.
half a year, which is really exciting. So, welcome to our almost half year anniversary, everyone. For those of you who are just joining, or were a part of that 10-minute ramble where it was just me chit-chatting with myself. My name is Harrison. I'm joined by the ever incomparable, horrible, worst person on the entire planet, Bjorn Anslem. He's over here. Nope.
Hey.
Over there. And today we are talking, and obviously, now that our stream just, we're gonna go a little bit longer today. Not a little bit longer. We're gonna go for like our normal amount of time, but we're talking conspiracy theories.
I love it.
And how we got to where we are today. But before we do that, Bjorn, how was your Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving was very relaxing, peaceful, straightforward, I think is the word I'd go for this year.
That's good. That is good to hear. Did you do any cooking, or was it mostly Danielle? Who is probably responsible for cooking?
Cook more, I would say. But I'm kind of like, I'm a person that procrastinates till I start something, and then I'm like, you can't take me away from it. So, once I get going, I'm like, all right, I want to cook all types of just like create things. I'm that guy.
What's your like, if you had a specialty?
If I had a specialty, I would say, I don't know. I like, so my favorite thing to do is to just like unprompted, when I happen to be in the supermarket, just start looking for ingredients I think will go well together, and then just, testing out my theory. So I'm more of like I like to just kind of like bake a meat to some sort of like, it's cooked area, and then, doused it with whatever kind of new sauce I'd like to. I think my favorite I did was it was some sort of caramel butterscotch combination that I made with chicken once. I just kind of put it together.
All right.
Yeah.
Not sure how that one works, but
it was delicious. So I don't remember exactly. I know there was maybe honey in there. But I made it, and everybody was questioning, and I was like, listen, this is what I do. So I made the sauce, and then I ended up having to make more because they ate it all, and I didn't have any. So,
well, there you go.
Passed the test, right?
As long as people enjoyed it.
I'm telling you.
Well, my Thanksgiving was, you're good at just like, well, see, that's, I think, one of the brilliant things about cooking is that I don't want to say it's all made up, but
yeah, you learn the rules so that you know how to kind of move around them and do your own thing.
Exactly. Speaking of learning the rules, I'm going to do a shameless plug here because this is one of the greatest books. As I break everything behind me, I'm going to fix that so that my plant doesn't get knocked off. But if you are looking for one of my personal opinion, one of the greatest books of all time, one of the like keys to success in the kitchen and why I can cook as well as I do. One, you have to meet my mom because she's an amazing cook. But this beauty right here, this book, Salt, Fat, Acid, and Heat by Samin Nosrat. One of the greatest tools you can have ever to learn how to cook well. And if you're like feeling really fancy, you watch or read this and then watch her Netflix special. Also quite good. Highly recommend. It's revolutionized Revolutionize that world. Hold on, let me just make sure my books, a couple of the books that I like to read, go crashing. Okay, everything's fine.
Nice. How was your Thanksgiving? You were telling us.
Oh, it was great. I did I was going to say I did a lot of the preparation for it a couple of days before, but that's a lie.
Oh,
I I should, like, in hindsight, I should have.
Yeah.
Because I was in the kitchen for probably like 3.5 hours cooking for literally just me and my husband.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the day, I was exhausted. So,
yeah. It's a tough day.
My mom, she's so cute. My mom watches the stream and listens to the podcast, and she says that she loves me.
That's awesome.
You got to have your supporters from somewhere.
Good living.
Yeah, man. So yeah, it was good. I don't think. Oh, I experimented with making my very own cranberry sauce, which was amazing.
Nice.
That was fun. It was really easy. Turns out you don't really need a recipe, which is great.
Right.
I'm still a fan of the canned cranberry sauce.
Yeah.
You know, there's something about like a log of stuff from a can that,
I've never had a problem with it. So
I've never had a problem with it. But the homemade stuff, quite good. If you get a chance to make it, I highly recommend. But anyway, we are here today talking about conspiracy theories.
The best topic ever.
The best topic ever, or is it?
Right. Well, I would just like to start by saying it's only a theory until it's been proven or disproven. So, you know.
That is quite literally the definition of a theory.
You know.
Yeah. Yep, that is very true. And up to this point, I don't think there's been an actual conspiracy theory aside from, I don't know, who Gossip Girl was that has actually been proven.
Right. I mean, you know, to a degree.
What is your favorite conspiracy theory? Do you have a favorite conspiracy theory? Do you subscribe to conspiracy theories?
I'm the person that when I was little, I asked so many questions. I used to get put out of church because they didn't have answers, you know. Priests don't really like the questions. So then that's why I said what I said, is because if you have some disbelief in something, or even belief, you should investigate. Like we've said here before on the show, you should always fact check, right? So when somebody says something, you should definitely say, all right, that sounds pretty believable, or it doesn't, and then support whether you think it's believable or not with some factual information, or at least information that's factual to the best of your knowledge. So once you have that, you're now at a point of this thing being either further proven or disproven, and it starts to become more or less of a theory at that point. So I think lots of religious conspiracies and the aliens, I'm down for all of it. I love it.
I think there's in some senses, I like to think I'm a very relatively rational person, at least like in thought.
Right.
But there's something mystical, magical about conspiracy theories that, think of, really, I wouldn't say necessarily that I'm a very religious person. I think I'm a spiritual person.
Same.
But there's, look at pretty much any religion across the board. And not disparaging religion in any way, shape, or form, but like in a sense, they are all kind of one giant conspiracy, not one giant conspiracy theory, but they are all in and of themselves conspiracy theories.
Right.
You know? And I think that's something historically that humans have held on to, like that belief in some greater plan or some a higher thing that has a plan for them. And so like I think like the modern conspiracy theories, while they are all kind of cuckoo banana crazy, like have some, I think, grounding in, I don't want to say rational thought, but have some grounding in like the human condition for like for attempting to make sense of the kind of crazy and chaos that is life.
Right.
Yeah, that, I guess that's my big take. I don't know if I have necessarily like a big conspiracy theory that I'm like, oh my gosh, this one's super crazy, super fun to think about. But I know, like, I think we all, when we were younger, had a big like Bermuda Triangle phase.
Oh, totally.
Like, if there's one conspiracy theory that like I'm still a little bit suspect about, it's the Bermuda Triangle. And I don't even know. I don't even know if I've like flown over the Bermuda Triangle or flown around it, but and truthfully, I'm still not even entirely sure of like what the idea behind the Bermuda Triangle is. I mean, I get it.
So many things.
Like it's a point where, the Earth's magnetic field or whatever is the strongest or the weakest, and therefore it's like opened a portal to another dimension or another reality. And I mean, like,
it's Atlantis was.
Oh, that's where Atlantis was.
Right. Yeah. All of these things. The most sensical theory that I've heard, I mean, it's not really a theory per se, but is that along the equator of the Earth are pyramids in all the different regions and areas. Through all the countries and everything. There are, through all the Aztec land, the old Mayan land and things, there is just a line of pyramids. And at a point, you get to the Bermuda Triangle, which is also a pyramid. And it's through the aerodynamics of the design, there is magnetism amongst other forces that are heightened there for whatever reason, and the magnetism is flipped and thus destroys everything that enters.
The mental gymnastics that you have to go
through. Man, it's real.
Because even just listening to that,
the thing that helps is the study of what is called sacred geometry.
So
crazy fascinating.
I will say this sacred geometry is an incredibly fascinating area of thought. And I say this in particular as I went to school for mathematics.
Right.
And in particular, like applied mathematics. I was a huge fan of just like geometry. Geometry as a subject was one of my favorite subjects. And not like, geometry as we know it or have been taught, which is largely been, okay, I'm going to go into mathematics here. Everybody get ready, buckle in. So I'm a nerd. So, geometry, really everything that you learn in mathematics nowadays has been reduced down to like algebra.
Right, basic algebra.
Basic algebra plus some extra bells and whistles. So geometry, as you're learning it right now, is just like is algebra. You know, find the length of this side and find the length of this side. Whereas in geometry is actually all about like proofs and is all about proofs and theorems, and understanding like relationships of basically relationships of lines and things along those lines. And sacred geometry is one of the coolest things, and lends itself like incredibly into like religious study. It's really all encompassing. It's so cool. It is such a cool thing. If you know, like great minds like Pythagoras. Oh, really? He's the only one I can think of. He gave us the Cartesian plane, and his name's it'll come to me later during the stream, and I'll yell it out. But like they were big proponents of sacred geometry. Half of like Pythagoras' theorems and his like last theorem is all based on sacred geometry. So like I'm totally here for it.
Totally.
I'm here. I don't even think that's like a conspiracy theory. I think that's just like delighting in the beauty of like the natural world.
Yes, some lesser known information. I think also a lot of the concepts that have been used in movies and things, art and things that we've done to depict magic come from things that have actually been done using sacred geometry.
Well, I mean,
great stuff.
Perfect example is like the thought behind the golden ratio and the golden number that like, you know, pretty much not all things, but lots of like naturally occurring things like seashells or like conch shells and the like seed pattern in like sunflowers or even like petal formation on certain flowers and plants follows golden, like the golden ratio. Like the ideal like physique
perfection
follows like golden ratio ideas, which is all again sacred geometry just put in understandable words. Yeah, I could totally nerd out about it.
I'm telling you, it's like it's just for me, it's everything in life is literally math and science, like literally anything you bring up, right? And that is like even football. When I'm the person that when I'm having a football conversation, I'm explaining like this math and science to people, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" Like people run into each other and there's a ball, and I'm like, "No, it's math, and it's about who's better at math." But you know, I digress.
Have you seen? Well, but there's validity in there. Have you seen the movie Hardball? He was in World War Z. Married to Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt.
Right. I have not seen Hardball.
No, not Hardball. Sorry, Moneyball.
Moneyball.
Sorry.
When you said
Hardball is a movie as well, though, too. Completely different movie. Very different movie.
I have not. I know. I was like, I have seen this movie, but I feel like I haven't. But I have not seen Moneyball, but we were talking about it yesterday because I think Catherine's going to
using that as an idea. Yeah. But that's basically like he just uses statistics in order to create a winning baseball team. So there you go. But kind of the impetus of today's podcast, and I had already alerted the entire audience to this before, and we took our break, was, I know I like mentioned this to you, earlier this week or something along those lines, that like I saw that saw this little mini like documentary or whatever called In Search of a Flat Earth, which basically the director and writer and guy in the film talks about, largely to begin with, the flat earth theory and like kind of its origins and how and why people subscribe to it. And do you know what the flat earth theory is, or at least what it's about?
Yes, or at least generally speaking.
Okay. Well, for those of you who are at home watching and need to know, or dying to know, yearning to know, flat earth theory, basically it says that that is what it is. The earth is a flat disk, and we're being lied to by a very sinister cabal of bigwigs around the world who are all conspiring to keep the humble masses living, in the cave, and blind and ignorant of the actual reality that, the earth is a flat disk and we are inside this kind of like dome, and NASA's a fake organization and the moon landing wasn't real, and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. And
I'm here today to say that it's obviously a load of BS. And normally I would normally say, like, normally I don't care what you think. But I will comfortably say here that if you're a flat earth theorist, you're a dummy.
Right.
Like, you wake up every day, like people, you can wake up every morning, you make a decision when you wake up. Like, you can wake up and decide to be, I wake up some days and I choose to be, smart. Some days I wake up, I choose to be pretty. Some days you have very pretty days. Some days you have very smart days. And some people just wake up and choose to be dumb. And that's my takeaway from understanding the flat earth theory. Like, it's wild.
I mean, I like listening, I'm like, if you have something somewhat sensible, it'll be fun just to hear, but
and I think, but that's the key there. Like, I'm totally willing to listen if you have something like sensible or worthwhile to add to the conversation. But as soon as we start getting into like this realm of conspiracy theory, and like the main problem that I have with conspiracy theories, like the flat earth theory, like QAnon, blah, 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 is that it fails on kind of one of the basic tenets of like argumentation, in that it is not like, let's say you and I are having an argument and I say, earth is flat. It is not, the burden of proof doesn't fall on you to prove me wrong. The burden of proof falls on me to prove that I am right.
Right.
And that's how scientific theory and scientific thought process works and has always worked. Like, a theory is just a theory until it is proven correct. Unless it's like, evidence is leaning towards it being correct, it's still a theory, but the burden of proof falls on the person making the theory. So like, think of like the theory of evolution, right? Like, it's still a theory because there isn't like concrete evidence or proof that it actually is true. There isn't full concrete evidence. However,
100%.
Right. But the vast majority of evidentiary support. Oh, I'm going to sound like a lawyer. Ooh, I sound like Elwoods. It negates mens rea. But the evidence there greatly leans towards this being the case.
Right.
And therefore, it's like a widely accepted viewpoint.
Right.
But the thing that I found most interesting about this, this was something else I had been mentioning in my little monologue earlier, that I found most interesting about this particular documentary. It's literally an hour long. If you, I will make sure to, because I forgot to do this. I should have done this earlier, but I will link it in the chat or in the info underneath this video. But he does this brilliant thing where, you know, he's talking about the flat earth theory and, you know, how as a theory, it's kind of like dying out in popularity. And it's because a lot of the flat earth theorists, which a lot of the kind of like doctrine and like thought process behind it falls into kind of like this evangelical, like American Christianity, which is a very important phrase. We'll talk about American Christianity versus Christianity later. But how a lot of the followers and believers of like the flat earth theory have migrated over to QAnon, which is a whole nother wild conspiracy theory rabbit hole. Which, how much do you know about QAnon? What do you know about QAnon?
I do not know a lot about QAnon.
Okay, well, let me elucidate you.
Yes.
Get ready. So QAnon as an idea, and now this isn't like verbatim. This isn't, you know, I'm afraid of diving into this rabbit hole because I know like I'll be stuck in there for a while watching videos and stuff. I'm not going to end up on the other side being like, maybe this is correct. But, you know, I've got other things to do with my time. But basically, it is the idea that there's like this, there's this word again, this cabal of like world leaders and people in power who are, you know, working to effectively just kind of like bring about the end of the world.
Yes.
With everything from, you know, like, think like effectively turning the world like Sodom and Gomorrah, and then the world's going to end. And, you know, there's this guy, Q, literally the letter Q, that's his moniker, who is like, basically saying like, you know, I've got all of this information and it will be revealed with time. And Donald J. Trump is like the person that we need to put our trust in order to make sure that like the end of the world isn't going to happen. Blah, 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 blah. And so what he does, and he talks about in this documentary, which is brilliant, is that like, what makes conspiracy theories kind of like work and continue to develop over time, and where like conspiracy theories start to get like very dangerous, especially when they start to get like cult-like, because that's where it has gotten to, is that when the signs, you know, one of the things that was a big thing in like QAnon world for a very long time was like Q would keep doing these like Q dumps. It's a weird word, on like 8chan or 8kun, and like give specific dates of like when very high ranking prominent like political figures or whatever were going to be like arrested or like brought to justice or whatever. And then it never actually happened. Like, and none of these things happened, and now it's starting to get to a point where like all of these QAnon followers are starting to think like, and starting to believe that maybe they're the ones who are supposed to bring about this change. Like maybe they're prophecy. Like, maybe they're supposed to be like the harbingers of the end time. So it starts to get to this like really crazed, fanatical situation.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem too with when people work toward some sort of prophecy, if it doesn't come true, then what do you do with all that time that you put in? So, you know, it's only natural for a lot of them to say, well, I think I'm supposed to do this, whether they are or not.
Yeah, and so then we end up with you know, you see like the rabid mobs of Trump supporters who like are willing to like fight tooth and nail for their country or whatever, and to
Right.
quote unquote, you know, they're trusting the plan,
Right.
whatever the plan may be. There's no plan.
I
Nobody's got a
was
plan.
gonna say if there is a plan.
If there is a plan, and the
We're
crazy
supposed to
thing
believe
is,
there's a plan, but you know.
right, and there's never been a plan. I mean, like he could, for what it's worth, you know, there was supposed to be a healthcare plan. That never happened.
Right.
There was supposed to be an infrastructure plan. That never happened. What makes you think there's like some grander plan?
Right.
Where's the grander plan? Because, you know, like you have everyone like us on our side, we're just kind of sitting around like, well, y'all are just looking dumb. Like, can you just like, because now it's just getting to the point where it's annoying and like everybody's just like, can you guys shut up or like put up or shut up? That's the thing. Like, show us, and this is kind of like how I'm feeling with like the, you know, this is how conspiracy theories are born. You have people like Donald J. Trump who are saying things like, you know, the election's a fraud and blah, 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 and like building this entire false narrative that, you know, that the world is conspiring against him and against the American people and blah, 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 blah. Yet there's no evidence to support it. And so now it's just getting annoying.
Yeah.
And people on his end are failing to realize that like the burden of proof falls on them to prove that Q exists, or that there's a sinister cabal, or that, you know, the moon walk wasn't an actual real thing. Like the burden of proof falls on you. Otherwise, you're just talking crazy.
Yeah.
Really quick, I want to take a pause in the angry rambling about conspiracy theories and do an official, since you're here and since there are people watching, an official hashtag not sponsored shout out. Today we are hashtag not sponsored, as I kind of said in the first half of this earlier, and then we stopped. We are hashtag not sponsored today by Melanin Apparel. Ooh. Makers of incredible gear and apparel and things. They have a bag that I really want to get from them. It's like a duffel bag. It's really cool. And we are doing our, you know, our normal bi-weekly hashtag not sponsored giveaway. So make sure you like and subscribe and leave a comment down below.
Do it.
To be entered to win. And then our hashtag not sponsored giveaway winner from episode number 9, which was 2 weeks ago. We're already almost in December. Is the ever amazing Marcy Brown.
Hey.
I know. It's not nepotism because we know Marcy, but we
know everybody.
We know everyone. Mm-hmm. You know, we run in pretty cool circles. So congratulations, Marcy. You are the winner of a really cool bit of gear from London Customs at onelondoncustoms.com. I will let you know all the details later because we are playing Dungeons and Dragons later tonight. So
hey.
Because nerds roll together. There was something else in there. Oh, I know Selena finally got her.
She did.
She finally got her honey from Zach and Zoe Sweet Bee Farms. When I bought the same jar.
Oh, nice.
I know, Marcy, you won. Congratulations.
It looks delicious.
She just commented, whoa. Jar of honey that Selena got. It was a raspberry one. Raspberry.
It looks amazing.
It's so good. So freaking good.
Yeah, I thought it was just honey. So when she opened it, I was overwhelmed. I was like, whoa.
It's honey, but then there's like a raspberry like puree or something along those lines on top of it.
Nice
so good.
Squirrel.
Yeah, man. It's wicked good. I also like way back when I first heard about Zach and Zoe, got their just like the regular wildflower honey, which is really good, and then their wildflower honey with lavender. Also really good.
Yeah.
I think they've got a whole bunch of really cool stuff. I'm really interested. They have one that's like wildflower and matcha, which I really want to try. I think that would be really. Oh yeah, there you are, Zach and Zoe.
Check them out.
And what's great about them, and kind of like all of these companies that were hashtag not sponsored by, making it very clear to say that their customer service is super great. This time around, they sent, like, I ordered the 2 jars and they accidentally only sent me one of them. And so I emailed them as soon as I got the package and was like, hey, I think you accidentally only sent me one instead of 2. And the owner, like literally like 5 minutes later, it was 10 o'clock at night, instantly sent me an email back saying like, oh my gosh, super sorry about that. We'll get a new one out to you tomorrow. And mind you, they're in New York, so like it's also 10 o'clock, but for them to respond at 10 o'clock at night was awesome. And then I think their like person who's in charge of like shipping or whatever,
right,
emailed me the next morning at like 7 a.m. saying like, hey, it's FedEx your way, check out, like, nice. Here's your tracking number. So they're super efficient, really incredible company. Highly recommend y'all check them out. But anywho, we're back. Did I cover everything? Did I say everything? Like and subscribe. Marcy's the winner. Selena got her honey. Things are going good.
That's right.
Things are going good. Here's a conspiracy theory for you. 2020, period. That's it.
Never happened.
That's never happened. Nope. We're just I'm willing to go into 2021 pretending that this year didn't happen.
Yeah, man. And it really started like last fall. There was just this.
It really did.
Yeah. It just never ended after that.
It really didn't. There was, it was so interesting because what even happened last year? What happened this year? Those 2 big questions. I remember coming into like ending 2019 and like we were at this, obviously we were at the studio because we were all working, LOL. But I remember having a conversation with our boss, Kristen, and being like, God, I am so excited for 2019 to be done. Yeah. Like, I'm over this year. Screw this year.
It's still 2019 somehow.
And LOL, joke's on you. It has been a shit show. Putting it mildly.
Yeah.
Putting it actually mildly. To say the absolute least.
Yeah, I don't think there's a person who hasn't ignored whole months of 2020. Although, like, I'm just going to ignore that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pretend that didn't happen. Yeah. But for what it's worth, I will say, this has been from a time perspective, 2020 has been like, if ever there were to be a conspiracy theory, like, time not being real and, we are living in the Matrix, the like fact that this has been the longest year and the shortest year of my entire existence is wild. Like, I have never felt a year drag on for so long.
Yeah.
Yet be over so quickly.
Yeah. I still feel like it's April.
Well, I feel like it's April because we are, we're living in a society full of chuckleheads who, won't participate in the group project.
Yeah.
Of, doing everything that we can to stem the tide of, COVID-19 and, all of our viewers at home, but we don't really need to go into like how much we hate people who aren't wearing masks because I'm fairly certain everybody who's watching is pretty much on the same boat. But
do you watch Law and Order?
So didn't they just like reboot the series?
They restarted their 22nd and final season this fall.
And
And
it's
so
Law and Order SVU, correct?
it's SVU.
Oh, that
So
was the
I'm
best
watching
one.
the other day, right? It's literally the best one. It's like they're playing in the COVID. So every scene when a character's entering, you see them approach the crowd with their mask and then they take it off. I'm like,
Oh my
what are
God.
you doing?
Oh man. What? Yeah. Ugh.
I don't
What
know.
was and I'm pretty sure like every show is playing into it, which is, I mean, most shows are, you
Yeah.
know, all about um are about staying with the times.
Right.
We were watching one of the more recent episodes of Superstore, which is an amazing comedy. Highly recommend. America Ferrera Forever. We love America Ferrera around here at Next to the Floor. But show's super funny, and it's basically like um, depicts the goings on in a like a big box retailer. Effectively, it's like a Walmart, but it's called Cloud9. And their most recent episodes have been like the company at large's response to COVID-19 and like the failings of the company to like protect their workers and everything. It's hysterical. Highly recommend. What else? Oh, a show that I stopped watching after like probably the 5th or 6th season, but Grey's Anatomy um, has like a whole COVID arc going on right now. I'm pretty sure every TV show has a COVID arc.
Yeah.
I'm glad that Glee is
2020
off.
never happened.
Yeah, 2020 never happened. I'm glad Glee is off the air because God could only imagine what they would have done in response to that. Man, oh man. Oh, I'm just excited. Well, okay, I'm not going to say it because I said it last year.
Yeah, I was gonna say one
And
more month.
I brought misfortune.
Yeah.
I apologize, everyone who's watching and everybody who will be watching. I think 2020 was my fault because I said I am ready for 2019 to be over.
Yep. And then this. It's crazy. But I was saying the other day, it's funny that I mean, I like this big outbreak was started like last fall
It
ish,
started in November. Like we just
right?
hit the like 1 year anniversary of like the first COVID
Crazy.
case.
It's crazy. And then the earliest specimen, or I forget what the actual word is, but the earliest thing that they had goes all the way back to the 60s. And then I look at a lot of the celebrities that they've made fun of for the last like 5 or 10 years that always wore masks and gloves everywhere. And now I'm like,
Joke's on y'all.
right?
So, well, I mean, you know, if anything, one of the big things that I'm hoping comes from this whole experience for people is a much bigger appreciation for like Eastern culture and Eastern norms,
Oh man,
especially like societal norms as far as like respect of and yeah, respect of your community. You know,
yeah,
like
personal space.
oh my God, my one of the greatest things that, you know, as a dance teacher, and I said this at one point, I think wearing as sucky as it is to dance in a mask, to think that I've been going my entire life just letting people breathe on me. Like,
Right.
man, you know, and knowing that like people have been, well, because, you know, like how quickly illnesses and things like that spread through. I mean, you know how quickly illnesses and things spread, but even before COVID, I think like, you know, one instructor would get sick, and then, you know, as the week went on, everybody by the end of the week is feeling like blah.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think it's about time that we start getting into the concept of like, you know, A, if you're not feeling well, don't come in.
Right.
But B, largely, like if you're not feeling well, do what you can to protect not just yourself, but protect other people. Right.
Definitely.
And I think that's a big thing that's lost. But in order to do the first one where I said, like, if you're not feeling well, come in, we need to get ourselves into a place as a society, i.e., ditch capitalism as an idea, wherein, you know, where people are able to sustain themselves without having to come in.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we won't have to worry about global pandemics.
Yeah. Wash your hands.
This is a call out for all of the men in the world. Just do it.
Do it.
It's not difficult with your nasty,
Disgusting.
you nasties.
When I think of the amount of times that I was in a bathroom and saw somebody come in there and leave, and I was standing at the sink, they never approached the sink once, you know?
It's like, who raised you?
Who? Let me talk to the person.
Let me talk to this person and just like figure out what happened.
What happened, you know? Especially in professional settings, because then you, like, I'm like, what are you doing?
Just like, it's a simple act.
Simple. You learned when you were like 3. Come on.
And so along the way, it was lost.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Right. And the worst places were the most corporate of places. I'm like, no matter how much money you have, sir, you still need to wash your hands.
You say, yes, money can prevent illnesses, I guess.
Right. Or buy medicine.
Buy medicine, but
let's just wash our hands.
Yeah. And stop touching money.
Yeah.
Ugh, stop touching money. Stop touching people. Don't touch me. Don't get near me.
Money.
Don't breathe on me.
Money is the most disgusting thing on the planet.
It is literally the root of all evil.
Mm-hmm. Money is Corona.
Money is the root of all evil. You want to talk about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse?
Oh, dude.
Plague.
It's getting worse and worse.
You get it from touching money. Famine. You get it from not having money. War.
It's all about money.
War is a business.
Yeah.
What's the other one? Strife?
That sounds correct.
I never read Revelations.
I mean, I have, but, you know, years
Now,
past.
there was a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me look this up.
I know. I'm like, I need to know.
What are the 4 horsemen? I'm pretty sure it's Strife. 4 horsemen. Da-da-da-da-da. They appear in the book of Revelations. We know this. They ride a pale horse. Death. There it is. Thank you, Isabel.
Wrath. Close.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Isabel for the win.
Isabel for the win. Congratulations, Isabel. You are entered to win our Next to the Floor #not-sponsored giveaway just by commenting.
Nice.
So is my mom.
She's in there.
She's in there too. So it's a toss-up at the moment. It's a toss-up between Isabel and my mom at the moment.
Down.
So we're going places with this podcast. We are going places. You know, if you can't get your mom to watch it,
it's the only real place to start, right? I hope at least, or something similar.
She did text me and says she really enjoys them. I say that I know we've diverged and tangented completely away from conspiracy theories, but you know, We are the sensible few in the world.
Kind of, sort of.
But my mom, I've been dancing since I was 8 years old.
Nice.
And, we would have a recital every single year. There would be a recital, end of year recital. And by the time I was in like 10th grade, because that's when I switched to dance studios, there was a whole lot of drama there. We're not going to go there. But by the time I switched dance studios, the recitals were probably upwards of like 4 hours long. With like a single intermission in the middle. And, of course, as things were, my routines were either like, they were never the first one. I was either like the end of the first act or like the beginning of the second act.
Yeah.
So my mom, God bless her, had to came to my recitals. She really enjoyed like watching me dance. She said she really enjoyed watching me dance, but she hated having to sit through the 2 hours or 2.5 hours to get to my single routine.
It's the worst. Even dance competition, I'm like, just let me go.
They're the pits. Speaking of conspiracy theories,
pick when I want to go?
Oh my God! Speaking of conspiracy theories, like, how are you going to have, and this is the thing, I love our company, but they have us dancing at the most absurd hours.
Prime time.
Prime time. Like some competitions have us dancing at like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. And then other competitions have us dancing at like 8 a.m.
It's tough business.
Like, I'm not a human who, has a sleep schedule or something along those lines.
Right.
Man.
I'm like, I get the main event and all of that, but like...
But like, can the main event be at like 9 p.m.?
Right.
Or like, I don't know, like a sensible 5.
I second that.
A sensible 5 o'clock.
And then you have like late night competition if you want.
If you want, like an optional...
Right.
Like, and don't even wear a costume. Just show up, have a good time.
Right.
Whatever. And it's not even a competition.
Yeah, just do stuff.
Just do stuff. Just do stuff. Just go out there, move around a bit, have a good time.
Right.
Oh,
love it.
Man. Anywho, well, we have come to the end of today's episode. We've been plagued with technical difficulties. It's that 5G network coming out to, I don't know, give us cancer or something.
Yeah, right.
And it might have been like the tracking chip that got implanted into my arm on my last, like my flu shot vaccination or whatever.
One of the many tracking chips.
I know I just said that we're done, but I'm going to talk about a quick conspiracy theory that irks the shit out of me, which is not based in any realm of reality. It is not grounded in truth whatsoever. But the idea, like this whole, it's kind of twofold. One, the like anti-vax movement. One, in that vaccinations cause autism, which is like the dumbest thing on the entire planet because A, it's, not true. B, it's completely ableist, and like it says that you would much rather have a dead child than the possibility of having a child with autism. Wherein I'm pretty sure, like, even as I'm not a emotional or psychological therapist or scientist. I have no like expertise in the field, but I'm fairly positive as a concept for like mental illness, autism as a study is still in its like infancy. And so like the information surrounding autism is still in its infancy, and so for people to say like, oh, I'm not gonna get vaccine because it causes autism, like, I don't know, go take a long walk off a short pier or something.
Like every vaccine just causes autism.
Yeah, and then on a second, like the second side of that is that, vaccines are some plot by, Bill and Melinda Gates and the government to be able to track you. And I read about that, I read about it on Facebook, and then I made a post about it on my Twitter. Both of those giving my location, and I did it both on my phone that has, Google Maps, wherein I go into Google all of my directions. Like, if y'all are concerned, if y'all are concerned that the government is tracking you, like, do I have news for you, buddy?
Listen, do you have a social security number?
Hello.
Okay,
Hello.
so they had you a long time ago.
Do you live in a house? Not even. Do you live in a house? Right.
Do you do anything ever?
Do you have a bank account? Do you
Yes,
do you exist?
Right.
Like, hello, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Drivers, license plates, it's all registered.
And this is what I mean, where people wake up and choose to be dumb. Like, that is a conscious decision. You woke up and chose to be a dummy.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll give you this to help everyone. There is, for me now, basically a line for every conversation. If you can't get past a certain line, then there's only a limited amount of information that I'm going to share in the conversation. Because there's a saying, a wise man said not to argue with fools because people from a distance can't tell who's who, right? So if somebody says something to you that is that red flag, I have no idea what I'm talking about. Blame yourself if you keep talking to this person from now on, and I guarantee you'll have less of these conversations.
Yep. And that, my friends, is your hot take for today. So with that, thank you all so much for sticking with us through our technical difficulties. I'm glad we got it all figured out. Yeah, Bjorn. God. See, now y'all know. You have an insight into why we are arch nemesis. Make sure, if you haven't already, make sure you smash that like button and hit subscribe. And then if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit that little bell notification. I think it's up here.
Do it.
Or maybe it's down here next to the subscribe button. So that way you get notifications of any time we post a video. Usually this video, the VOD is available the next day on our YouTube channel, complete with new artwork, which is really fun. Thanks, canva.com. And then make sure you leave a comment to be entered to win our #NotSponsored giveaway from Melanin Apparel. Congratulations to our previous winners, Marcy and Selena. Until next time, y'all, I think it's going to be our Christmas episode or holiday episode or whatever. So, because in 2 weeks, it's basic. Oh my God, it's our ugly sweater episode. Fun.
I have it. It's somewhere.
I've got a couple of them. I'm really excited. We're going to have like ugly sweater reveals during. You got to wear as many ugly sweaters as you can. And then during the podcast, we're going to just continuously reveal them.
Right.
But until our next episode, thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe and have a fabulous week until we see you again next on the floor.
See you next time.
Bye. Ooh, look at the background. So fun.